link. Welcome to today's webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are best. Today's theme is on the digitalized smallholder market access. And indeed, this is a joint collaboration between the WFP Center of Excellence for Rural Transformation and the WFP Ghana Country Office, with financial support from the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, People's Republic of China. So you are welcome to this important webinar, which is about access to markets. I will have a quick agenda, scan through the quick agenda. I will have opening remarks from three important people, including the country director, WFP Ghana Country Office. We also have Ms. Xiao, who will be presenting, who will be also supporting on the opening remarks. But also we have a government representative from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, who will be providing the opening remarks. And then we will have two key presenters, one on opportunities and challenges for e-trading platform in facilitating grain trading platform and digitalized applications in grain trade by Ms. Wang Xin, Chief Engineer, National Grain Trade Center of the People's Republic of China. We'll have a discussion for about 20 minutes and then have closing remarks, again from three important people: Dr. Chu Sis, representative and country director, WFP China. Then Ms. Dong Mori, the director, Department of International Cooperation, Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, People's Republic of China. And Mr. Liu Dong Dangeng, the South-South Triangular Cooperation Unit Chief, WFP headquarters. So this will be the agenda for today. It should take us about 90 minutes. So at this stage, I will welcome Ms. Barbara Clemens to give us the opening remarks. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you everyone, and welcome to this webinar. I thank all of those who participated in getting us to this, our journey with this collaboration. I'd like to say good morning, and WFP Ghana welcomes the opportunity to host the South-South Triangular Corporation workshop on digitization and smallholder market access. As Chris mentioned, this has been made possible with the financial support from the People's Republic of China via its Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, facilitated by WFP's Center of Excellence for Rural Transformation and WFP's corporate South-South Triangular Corporation. I'd like to send a special welcome and appreciation to the participants. I had them listed here, but I don't think I will list them because Chris went through them as in his opening remarks. So therefore, I'd like to thank the WFP's team and all other protocols observed from the speech that Chris gave at the beginning of the webinar. This webinar is jointly organized by WFP Country Office and WFP Center for Excellence for Rural Transformation with the support of the Ministry of Agriculture. We welcome the government of Ghana for their continued support and also participation. It speaks strongly of WFP's Ghana value proposition in Ghana to facilitating and helping to close gaps or eliminate overlaps within the food system in Ghana. So without further ado, I look forward to hearing the rich discussions that I'm sure will take place today. Thank you all for your patience and again, your participation. Thank you, Chris. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Barbara, for those wonderful opening remarks. At this stage, we invite Ms. Xiao Yunjin, the Deputy Director General, Department of Foreign Affairs, National Food and Strategic Reserves, Administration, People's Republic of China. Welcome, Yunjin.
尊敬的 WFP 加拿办公室主任
Distinguished Ghana Office Country Director Barbara Clemens, distinguished Dr. Xu, distinguished Liu Dageng from PROT WFP HQ, and Professor Yao from NYU, and also Professor Benini from the SRID. Distinguished delegates, good morning and good evening. Today, this workshop on digitalized smallholder market access is held online, and this internet can connect us from different time zones. On behalf of this Foreign Affairs Department of this NFSRA to express congratulations of this event. And I'd like to introduce our organization and China's smallholders. In China, we have a large population and small land, and per capita is only 10 more of land, and smallholder and family operation has been the major form of agricultural production, and smallholder accounts for 90% of agricultural operators. And in China, in west and south of China, like Sichuan province, their per household scale is very disintegrated and very small. And also, this each plot is only 0.4, 0.5, and we have helped the smallholders so that they don't leave behind. As the important authority, our NFSRA, we are building this circulation of the grain. We take smallholders as an important key factor and build the major market players, and to also attend all kinds of the grain operation activities, and also use digitized tools to help smallholders to engage in the grain and market operation level, so that they can get benefit and enjoy the benefits of policy and the time dividend. The National Food and Strategic Reserve Administration sets our cooperation with WFP in 2016, and we started the memorandum of South-South and Triangular Cooperation MOU. And since then, we have already started to use capacity building, the expert seminar and mutual visits. We have helped developing countries like Kenya, Nigeria, Zambia, and Sri Lanka, and other African and Asian countries to share China's experience in post-harvest management and the reserve system, the nutrition improvement, and connecting smallholders with the market. So we have contributed to the food security and pushed forward the achievement of SDG 2030. And this is also major content of WFP seminar this year. Today, recent years, we have continuously improved our cooperation with Ghana. For example, Hunan Agricultural University, together with Ghana Embassy in Beijing, have signed the cooperation agreement on science and technology, and the Shandong province have forged the consensus to deepen agricultural sector cooperation with Ghana. And also we have built smart agricultural industrial parks. We have made a lot of fruitful results. We are willing, together with Ghana and South-South cooperation, to continue our cooperation on food security and share China's experience. This workshop, the Wang Xin, the Chief Engineer of National Grain Trade Center of China, will share the topic of China's e-trading platform and digitalized application in grain trade, and to share the success and experience of China's experience in using digitalized tool and to connect smallholders with the market. This is the start of cooperation between Ghana and the National Food and Strategic Reserve Administration. I hope our success will be built on this starting point, and finally wish this a complete success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Xiao Yangjun, for those opening remarks and sharing with us the experiences of your agency in terms of supporting smallholder farmers, to access, better markets. So at this stage, we welcome Mr. Godswe Banini, a government representative from MOFA, Ghana. Welcome, Mr. Banini.
Thank you, Chris. The country director, Barbara, Miss Yenshon, if I'm getting it correct, and all protocol reserves. Thank you very much for inviting us to, give short open remarks on behalf of the government of Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, agriculture has been recognized in Ghana by as a critical sector that could help achieve one of the most important global goals, that is poverty reduction in a sustainable way. For this to happen, we require reliable, relevant, accurate statistics to inform policy. In Ghana, about 40% of active population are engaged in various forms of agricultural ventures, and the majority are small holders. It is therefore important to sustain and make this source of employment profitable, not only to assure food security, but also to also make sure that the livelihoods of the smallholders and their dependents are assured. Knowledge and access to markets and financial services by our smallholder farmers is very crucial for all farming operations along the value chain. That is from production, harvesting, storage, sales, and processing. We in Ghana believe that any digitalized information system, for example, use of mobile phones, for example, may yield expected results. By the end of 2022, Ghana registered approximately 45 million mobile connections. So if you take the population of Ghana, which is about 30 million, what it means is that some people in Ghana are using more than 2 connections, and most of these people who use mobile phone, for example, are smallholders. So smallholders, farmers do not only need information on prices of their produce in the various markets to enhance price negotiation with middlemen and other buyers, but this information must be instantly received and timely. Therefore, digitized information in all forms will better serve this purpose. It is our hope that this workshop will share information and workable experiences from other countries like China that can be adopted and adapted very well in our situation here in Ghana. We want to use this opportunity once again to be thankful to WFP for its continued efforts to guide and fine-tuning on ongoing interventions that always aim at eradicating poverty and hunger to achieve the sustainable development goals, especially the SDG 2, which is zero hunger. So once again, on behalf of the government of Ghana, we thank WFP for organizing this forum, and we hope that the presentations and the discussions will go a long way to benefit Ghana, especially of small scale holders, that the farming activities will be achieved, and the poor farmer will have the necessary gains from their operations. I thank you very much, and looking forward for a fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Godswe Banini, for your opening remarks. Yeah, it's good that you managed to join us, given the importance as the WFP we attach to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture and the collaboration we've had together in supporting, smallholder farmers. So at this stage, we are going to our key presentations. The first presentation will be made by Professor Yo Nyako, who is a professor of economics in New York State University and the director of New York State University Africa House and the Center for Technology and Economic Development. Just a little bit about Professor Yo Nyako. He's a professor of economics at the New York State University and the director of the New York University Africa House and Center for Technology and Economic Development, as well as co-director of the Development Research Institute. As a director of the Development Research Institute, he was awarded the 2009 BBVA Frontiers in Knowledge Award on Economic Development Cooperation. He is a fellow of the Econometric Society, a research associate of the National Bureau of Economic Research, and a non-resident fellow at the Center for Global Development. His research interests focus on the areas of economic development, theoretical economics, models of human capital as engines of economic growth, brain drain and skills acquisition, labor economics, and migration. His current research focuses on technology and economic development, commodities exchanges and markets in Africa, and determinants and returns of labor migration from South Asia in the UAE, as well as the impacts of various policy measures on mobility of labor within the UAE. He's the chair of the Econometric Society of Africa Regional Standing Committee. He has served as a consultant to organizations, including the African Development Bank, the World Bank, the United Nations, and the Society and the Social Science Research Council. As a former vice provost of New York State University, he managed a portfolio that included the oversight and the establishment of campuses in Abu Dhabi, Accra, and Shanghai. Yo Nyako received his BA from the University of Ghana and an MA and a PhD in economics from Cornell University. Welcome, Professor Yo Nyako, for your presentation. And you have 20 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me share my screen here, just a second. Great, so it's wonderful to be here. I would like to thank the World Food Program, particularly the Ghana office, Barbara and your team. You guys have been great. Great to have you in our Kumo office all the time. We would like to thank the China Center of Excellence as well, and of course the organizers for organizing this event. It's very good for Ghana, Africa to be sharing experiences with China. China has done very well in moving millions of people out of poverty. And so this is one of the development triumphs, and it's something that we should all be not only celebrating, but also learning from. So it's great that we are all talking together. As regards my own research, I need to thank the International Growth Center, particularly the Ghana office, who have been very, very supportive of everything I do and a lot of what I'm going to be saying right now. I thank NYU Abu Dhabi. I'm currently in Abu Dhabi. It's our campus there. I am joined Abu Dhabi and New York from New York University. So I also thank the Faculty of Arts and Science and the Provost Office there for funding for the research, which I'm going to be talking about somewhat here. So as our prior speakers have spoken, and the Honorable Deputy Minister from Ghana's Ministry of Food and Agriculture, agriculture is very important for Africa. It's one of our big challenges. He mentioned markets, lack of access to markets. This means that, all the gains that we economists talk about, Adam Smith's invisible hand will not be working if you don't have the markets functioning properly. The goal of this talk today is to say a few things about e-commerce, e-trading, platforms, and all of this. We do all of this to enhance markets, to enhance trading. It is my view that if we get the markets straightened out for our very poor farmers, they are very entrepreneurial, they are very, very hardworking. They go into the field, it's, the sun is shining on them, it's hot, it's sweaty, and yet they endure. So if we on our side are able to create the markets for them, I believe that they will grow. And just like China, we will have major, major improvements in the lives of our farmers. And so I think that this topic that we're going through today is very timely, very important. What I intend to do today is talk to you about e-commerce and particular commodity exchanges. Sometimes we forget that a commodity exchange is primarily an e-commerce platform. So I'll talk about that. I'll talk about some issues our research had pointed out, and therefore the need for nano commodity exchanges, credit issues, warehouse issues, okay? So these are all things that have come out from our research. And again, I thank all of our supporters, International Growth Center, WFP Ghana, and all others. Okay, so the typical African farmer, at least those that we are concentrating on, they're very small. They have to negotiate their prices. For the most part, traders go to their villages and they haggle. They need to go to agro processors. They get their fertilizers. Most of them to this day use primarily cutlasses, although at the very, very beginning, they'll use tractors to clear the land. But a lot of the technology there is still cutlass based. Many farmers have 1 to 2 acres of land, and there are issues around transportation costs, being remote, credit, as I'll say, and then warehouses, as I'll mention. Here is a graph in our study. We were studying, did some field research across the maize growing areas of Ghana. And we just did a simple survey of the education levels of our farmers. And so you see this graph here, which shows that many farmers in our sample had no education. Some had barely primary education, and a significant number also had middle school, or what in Ghana is called junior secondary school education. Higher education, you rarely see people with tertiary, technical, or college level education in our farming sector. So our farming sector remains, at least as per our surveys, an area where there's very, very limited skill levels. That said, I should tell you that our research has shown that our farmers are very happy to use technology, even when, and again, this is all mobile phone based technologies. Even when they don't understand how to use the mobile phone, they'll get their child to help them. So this is a way in which we can get at even farmers with no education or very, very little, say, primary education. The crops that are grown, as you can see here, at least in our survey, the primary crops are cocoa, which in Ghana is taken care of by various national organizations, and then maize. Maize is going to be the crop that I will focus the most on, just because that's where the gap is. And many of our very poor farmers in some areas cannot grow cocoa. If you're in the savanna belt or semi-savanna belt, cocoa simply doesn't thrive there. And so maize is your main crop. Soya also is grown in the northern regions of Ghana. Rice is an up-and-coming crop. And so these are the grains I will be focusing on as I'm discussing issues around e-commerce. All right, so in terms of a summary of what I'm going to be doing today, as I said before, I'm going to be talking to you about commodity exchanges. I'll argue that when we're talking about e-commerce, when we're talking about Africa, let's first focus on commodity exchanges. I'll tell you a bit about that. I'll tell you why I think it's important. The commodity exchanges, however, on their own will not do the trick. They are great. They're a very good first step. However, you need to add certain things to it. And there are 3 of them that I'll mention in this talk. Something I'm calling the word nano commodity exchanges. Essentially, you bring the commodity exchanges to the villages, to the farmers, to their farms. So that's one item. The next item I'll mention is that as we're thinking about e-commerce, we should not forget the very big issue of credit. Credit is exceptionally important, and sometimes we don't pay enough attention to credit flows, the banking system, the agricultural banks, the rural banks. These are all going to be things which, if we're going to make a dent of a difference in terms of e-commerce, we need to fix that. And some of our interventions, research interventions, we've started studying that. So we have some results, we have some insights, and I'll share a few of them with you. Then the third component, which is lacking and very important, are issues around warehouses. This is where the farmers are going to be storing their grain. Currently, there are warehouses all across the country, Ghana. The Ghana government has done very well on its one district, one warehouse program. However, we need to combine the warehouses with the commodity exchange, with the nano commodity exchange, with credit. Otherwise, it will not work. As we speak today, many of the farmers continue to keep their stored grains, sometimes for a year, sometimes 2 years, on their farms in very feeble straw huts, if you will, okay? And so that's something which I think is going to be very important as we discuss all issues around e-commerce. And then finally, there are a number of innovations that are going on now which are very interesting that we should keep our eye on. So the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is trying to get countries to have better payment systems. All of it is electronic, all of it is e-commerce, so that a farmer in Ghana, an aggregator in Ghana, somebody who is, aggregating the crops of all of our many smallholder farmers, could sell them to other countries, could sell them from Ghana to Nigeria or to other places. Maybe one day Ghana could be shipping out directly food from Ghana, any surplus we're able to get, to places where there are conflict and war. And these are the areas where the World Food Program, of course, is a big star. WFP won the Nobel Prize a few years ago in part because of that. So again, congratulations to the WFP for its wonderful work in helping people, the most marginalized, conflict zone, famine areas, okay? The main idea here is that e-commerce can help that process so that those with surpluses in one part of West Africa, for example, can send their grains to another part of West Africa. So this is, for me, something very important. The government and the central bank are introducing various e-commerce systems, as are the telcos, the big mobile phone companies. Many of my staff, a lot of my research in Ghana is all by mobile money. All of this is done through the mobile phone. And so these are things which are very important. We should keep our eye on. And as I said, our poor farmers, despite the fact that they are poorly educated, despite the fact that they are unbanked, are still able to access money, and money flows on their mobile phone through these mobile money systems. It's great to see these things working in the most remote of areas. You'll see communities where they don't even have electricity. Electricity doesn't work all the time, yet their mobile phones are working. They can still collect money, receive money, go to the next town over to charge their phones, and maybe collect the money from if it's MTN, an MTN agent in the next town over. So that's also very exciting. And as I'll say as well, there are new developments in the blockchain area. This is where you're using, the worldwide blockchain system, if you will. There are issues around currencies that you can use within local communities. Central banks are beginning to issue what are called CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. And so that too may enable payment systems to work much better than they are right now. They may form ultimately the backbone of e-commerce systems. And so this is, again, an area that all of us should be paying attention to, all of us should be watching. It could be potentially an exciting area. So in a nutshell, these are the things I want to say. And I think I have barely 20 minutes and I've used maybe 11 of them. And so what I'll do, if it's okay, the chair of this session, I'll just go quickly through these things in the remaining 9 minutes that I have. All right, so here we go. So as I said, commodity exchange are probably the ultimate e-commerce structures for sub-Saharan Africa, I'm a big advocate. When you look across the world in this picture at the bottom there, this is through a joint paper with Hato Pellegrina. The areas, the dark areas are the areas which have commodity exchanges. This of course includes China and its great examples. If you look at the continent of Africa, you'll see very few places which are green. Those of you can see Ghana. Ghana now has a commodity exchange, but it's barely 5 years old, okay? Many countries in Africa still do not have a commodity exchange. In the United States, the Chicago Board of Trade, Chicago Exchange was established 100+ years ago, and it's a bit of a shame that many African countries still don't have commodity exchanges. This is something that needs to change. As I said, I'm very happy to be part of the group that lobbied the government to set up Ghana's commodity exchange. So I was at this meeting where you see the picture on the right there, the president of Ghana about 5 years ago, ringing the opening bell of the newly established Ghana Commodity Exchange. I was part of the team that went to cabinet to lobby for it. The Ghana government gave us some money to start the process. I brought in the first CEO, Dr. Kadri Alpha. You see him behind the president who is in orange there. And within 1 year, within 1 year from the government giving us the go-ahead, the commodity exchange was up. It's still running today, and it's a success in the sense of it's in existence and it's helping farmers. Here are some screenshots of trying to get farmers to understand the commodity exchange. They'll bring their maize, in this case, from the villages. They'll bring them out, we'll weigh them. And so this is an innovation because typically the bags are not weighed, and farmers have been complaining about this. We will test the moisture content of the maize so that we can grade the maize. We then send them to warehouses and then issue them receipts. And then those receipts are traded in the commodity exchange, okay? So in the middle picture on the bottom, you see the brokers that are trading the pieces of paper that the farmers on the left are given after they bring their maize, which are bagged in GCX bags on the left. They trade that. Here is a pictorial of the commodity exchange. On the left, I've put a bunch of farmers. On the right are the people who are buying the produce of the farmers. So it could be schools that need maize for their feeding. It could be flour mills that want to turn it to bread. It could be poultry farmers who want to use this for their poultry. In the middle, of course, are the brokers who do the exchanges between the farmers and the purchasers. And again, the point here is that all of this is done electronically. If you ask me what is a commodity exchange, it's nothing other than software and rules and regulations that allow buyers and sellers to trade. So if you're thinking of e-commerce in the agricultural sector, I'm a big advocate for commodity exchanges. So we set up the commodity exchange. One of the first problems we hit was that we had expected the entire country to, all of the farmers, which is the majority of the workers in the country, to follow and just be dying to get into the commodity exchange. Unfortunately, the uptake was not as great as we hoped it would be. And so we continued doing research. We did 3 interventions, which I mentioned earlier on. First of all, we went into the communities, and then we decided to create commodity exchanges, which we call nano exchanges, in the villages. The big commodity exchanges, the National Commodity Exchange, they're based in Accra. The trades take place in Accra. Their warehouses, about 12 of them or so, are in regional capitals. So if you're in a small city, if you're in a small town, if you're in a village, it's very hard to get to these big regional warehouses or even the Accra Center. So what we did was, in the villages, we've piloted small-scale commodity exchanges. So here you're seeing a picture of our team conducting with the smallest farmers. So on the left are the farmers. They have their maize, and in front of them, there's a top picture. You can see them showcasing their maize. On the right, seated on the right, are the buyers. We bring the buyers from all over the country, and then we create a commodity exchange for them, okay? So intervention number one is bringing the commodity exchange to the people, to the villages, bring the traders from all across the country so that they can trade, they will test it. Everything is e-commerce, everything is on the mobile phone, everything is electronic. So that's one of the first innovations we went through. So all these pictures, you're just seeing trading going on in maize. These are the nano commodity exchanges, the small scale ones. Everything is mobile, as I said. Number two, we realized that many of our farmers, before they trade, they need to get loans to plow their farms, buy their fertilizer, weedicide. They have no money at the beginning of the farming season. So if you tell them, please send your maize to the commodity exchange, they will not, because they're in debt to the traders who gave them money in the beginning. So if you want more people to get into your commodity exchanges, if you want more people to be engaged in e-commerce, you need to solve that problem by providing credit. So that's one of the interventions we went through. We actually provided credit using funding from some of our research funders to study that process. And once we started giving our credit to farmers, our nano commodity exchanges started blossoming. So the policy insight there is our agricultural and development banks need to get more involved in giving out credit to smallholder farmers. We now know how to do it. We've got pilots on that. And so we're encouraging them to do that. So that's one of the innovations we had. And the third innovation we had was that commodity exchanges, they have their warehouses. We need more of the warehouses closer to the farmers, okay? And so the advantages of that, the farmers are able to deposit their maize in the warehouse. In addition, traders are always scared when they come to villages. A farmer may say they have maize, but they don't know the quality. They don't even know if the maize exists. So working with the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, one of the district warehouses was assigned to us for our research purposes. Okay, so this is the warehouse you see there. Our nano-commodity exchanges, we worked on them using this warehouse, and it's been a big success so far, okay? The traders come in, they can see that the maize is actually there. They can test the maize and make sure it's the right quality, and they're very, very happy, okay? So this has been another innovation. So again, the three innovations we have, this is the third one. You have the nano, meaning bring it to the people. You have the credit, so you need to talk to the banks, and you need to have the warehouses. Everything we do is e-commerce. Everything we do is on the mobile phone. Everything we do is electronic, okay? And so my point here is just that let's do all these e-commerce things for our smallholder farmers through the commodity exchanges, keeping in mind it needs to be nano, you need to get credit set up, and you need the warehouse system with the warehouse receipts systems. Okay, and then since my time is coming up, let me just say that the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is going to be very important. They are digitizing everything. They are creating e-commerce platforms. And so we're watching that carefully to see how we can integrate our smallholder farmers after we've aggregated their maize, perhaps after we put them in the Ghana Commodity Exchange, perhaps through the AFCFTA mechanisms, we can sell out of the national commodity exchanges to other countries. The other thing that we should mention also is blockchain. This could revolutionize both how we trade, the currencies we use, and so there could be a digital coin or currency, so that if you're sending goods from Ghana to Burkina or from Burkina back to Ghana, you can use this and therefore avoid all the complications of going from the Ghanaian cedi to the CFA franc and from there to maybe Nigeria and the Nigerian naira, okay? That's one advantage. The other advantage, those of you who are working in the e-commerce tech space, you understand that, you know, level 2 technologies, everything is easy to program on the blockchain, much easier than the older systems of going to some central server, even if it's on the cloud. So we have started our blockchain work, trying it with smallholder farmers. And so these are just some screenshots. We have our blockchain-based mobile apps, and we're just, trying to figure out whether these blockchain technologies could be something that could help our smallholder farmers. The Ghana government itself is very, very interested in what what everybody calls the CBDCs. And so these are central bank digital currencies. So instead of issuing essentially paper money or CDs, you have something which is digital and it's on the blockchain, and it enables people from other countries to access and trade easily. Okay. Ghana already has its mobile phone telcos. They're doing a great job: MTN, Airtel, Tigo, Vodafone. And as I said, a lot of my work, I have staff in a very small community in Ghana, about 15, 16 people, and they're all paid through mobile money. Anytime I'm doing research with our farmers, we use mobile money, and I can send money to somebody in a really remote place with no electricity, no water, and yet they're getting their money. So that's another exciting thing on digital platforms. So this is the World Bank has been helping Ghana. I know the national government has been working on this. MOFA, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, is working on it. Vice President's Office of Ghana is working on it. And with conversations with the country director of the World Food Program, Barbara Clemens, who have been very, very helpful in my research, very, very supportive. They're also interested in some of these digital platforms as well. Okay, so in summary, I've told you about commodity exchanges. I've told you about the 3 innovations: nano credit warehouses. I've told you about the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, the government, blockchain, and the telcos. So thank you very much for listening, and thank you again for allowing me to be a part of this conversation here. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Yonyako, for your great presentation. It has indeed been very insightful. And indeed, you have highlighted the challenges of smallholder farmers in Ghana, the importance of the commodity exchanges to Ghana and also to Africa. And as WFP, we are glad to be associated with Ghana Commodity Exchange, especially facilitating, the capacitation of smallholder farmers. You have also shared some of the critical, constraints, especially in access to finance, as one way of facilitating, markets, but also the utilization and the usage of the available warehouses for the smallholder farmers. And of course, highlighting the importance of having smallholder farmers accessing the warehouses closer to them. You have also shared indeed the opportunities and challenges available in Ghana, including the AFSTA, the blockchain technologies, and so on. So all these are really key in facilitating e-commerce and grain trade in Ghana. We have received a lot of great questions and comments. For now, we'll share with them. We'll be able to highlight them during the discussions. So now we are going to the next presentation by Ms. Wang Xin, the Chief Engineer, National Grain Trade Center, People's Republic of China. As a background, Ms. Wang Xin is the Chief Engineer of the National Grain Trade Center, National Food and Strategic Reserves Administration of the People's Republic of China. Ms. Wang has been engaged in the grain and oil e-commerce for around 20 years. She led the research and development of the National Grain Bidding System, establishment of the National Grain e-Trade Platform, and formulation of the National Standard for Grain Trading, and facilitated the policy-oriented trade of more than 900 million tons of grain, contributing to the reform of China's grain circulation system. She has published more than 30 professional papers and was awarded the prize for science and technology progress and several other prizes from different ministries. Welcome, Ms. Wang Xin, for your presentation. Thank you.
中加两国各位朋友，大家
Dear
好。
friends from both China and Ghana, I'm Wang Xian from the National Grain Trade Center. I'd like to thank WFP for inviting me to join you to talk about China's progress made in electronic grain trading. And next, I will walk you through development history of the National Grain Electronic Trading Platform and achievements of building the National Grain Electronic Trading Platform to share our experiences. And the trading mechanism can be separated into 3 periods. Horizontally, we can see before 2006, we had a conventional auction period. From 2006 to 2015, we had a exploration and transition period. And after 2016, we have built the national platform. And next, we'll look back on the characteristics of trading of grain. And first, let's look back. Before 2006, we had a stable grain price, which is the foundation for sustainable economic growth. So before 2006, China's authorities mainly used these reserved oil and grains to balance the supply and demand. When the grain prices rise, relevant authorities will have this auction method to sell the reserved grains to add market supply and stabilize grain prices. But according to our study, the outside bidding auction has many problems. First, the process has with multiple intermediaries, and it involves many processes. It's not transparent, and it can be hindered by manipulations, and it's easy to see unscrupulous practices such as behind-the-scenes manipulation, malicious bid rigging, and blind bidding that harm the interests of traders and lead to disorderly trading. And second, the information is not symmetric. So it's held not regularly, so the information disclosed is by phone calls. Participants are numbered, and the information of trading is not complete. So it can hardly adhere to the principles of openness, fairness, and equality. And the third, it involves high trading costs. The conventional auction method demands the people to go to the site, and the people have to pay for the transportation, accommodation, and dining. And it also raises the costs for people to participate in the trading. And fourth, the circulation efficiency is rather low. For traders, they need to go to the auction site. For different hosters, they have different rules and involves complex procedures. So the efficiency is rather low, which limited the efficiency of grain trading. As the time grows and as the technologies of internet keeps growing, the auction model has turned into a e-commerce model based on the existing needs and led by the government. The Chinese has pushing for the electronic grain bidding trading system since we have practical demands in the early 21st century. Since the reform of the grain trading has been done, and the marketization and multiple participators in the market has facilitated the spot grain sales to lower the cost of trading and increase transparency to prevent malicious bidding, which effectively addressed the problem of multiple agents. So the problems such as multiple intermediaries, information asymmetry, high trading costs, and low circulation efficiency are to be addressed. And second, we have our technological support. In the 21st century, e-commerce has almost swept all industries. The grain industry has also integrated with e-commerce to create a new form of spot grain sales, from face-to-face to online transactions, enabling quick and efficient trading. And third, we have government guidance. Since 2014, China's grain production has been on the rise. To motivate farmers and to address the problems of difficulty in selling these grains. The relevant national departments have actively explored new grain circulation models that are driven by e-commerce and combine with modern electronic information technology, build a grain electronic trading system in line with national conditions, and gradually form a fair, competitive, standardized, orderly, and nationally unified grain trading market. According to official release, on 14th August 2006, according to Anhui Provincial Food and Strategic Reserves Administration, it was reported that Hunan Hanshou County Jinyu Rice Company Limited became the first customer in the country to successfully purchase rice at the minimum purchase price through the internet. This marks a new breakthrough for Anhui's grain wholesale market to take the lead in achieving networked bidding trading across the nation. And since then, we have started the e-trading of grains. From 2006 to 2016, almost a decade, we have explored the e-commerce bidding system of grains. We have seen some results and also recognized by the public. The relevant national authorities also, in light of the new conditions, has made decisions to promote two major initiatives. One is to establish dedicated organizations to do such grain trading. And second, we build a e-commerce trading system to build the platform. And since then, we have entered into a platform building era. And relevant works have been done can be summarized into the three following aspects. First, we established dedicated authorities. And after preparations in 2016, January the 8th, the National Grain e-bidding trading system was officially launched, marking a new era of grain trading in China. And since then, we have established dedicated authorities to be in charge of the grain e-bidding trading platform. And second, we have improved the National Grain Trade Center system. After the trading center was built based on the grain trading platform, we have built a 1+30 model. And we have 30 provincial level grain trading systems, which have been connected to the national grain trading platform, which we have the one national leading authority and 30 cooperating centers nationwide. So it involves almost 2,000 professionals running this platform. And the national grain trading system adheres to the principle of openness and fairness and transparency. The trading categories covers all kinds of oil and grains and has flexible models, including bidding, targeted trading, and negotiated trading, and many other methods. And the trading members we have over 4,200 trading partners, and it involves a whole value chain and main producers. The trading entities have been expanding to production and producers and consumers, and it covers a wide network covering all corners of China, and has successfully built a unified market in China. And so we have a unified platform, unified circulation, and unified settlement system. So it's also being monitored and coordinated by provincial governments. And third, we have expanded platform functionalities. For this trading system, we've been aiming a full value chain, and we aim to make sure the information, logistics, financing be integrated. First, we are to enhance these trading functionalities. We are to cover more people and increase its scale to build a new trading system to ensure transparent trading and quick settlement, and to make sure it can be done online and can be traceable. Second, we aim to enhance its information function. Information is a foundation for ensure smooth trading. The national trading system has built a system that a price monitoring network.
And after now, we have formed over 1,100 national level and over 1,500 provincial level information report and monitoring points. And the data that have created with the platform have commonly formed the guide of our grain price. And third is to improve logistics and integrate the logistics resource in the society, and also facilitates the integration of grain transportation channels from the north to the east. And fourth is to improve the financing function. We cooperate with the banks to improve the supply chain financing. And we build a bridge for the bank and smallholder farmers. And we started products such as the receipt financing, order financing, logistic financing, and supply chain financing, and construction of delivery warehouse, so that we can help relieving the difficulty in this regard. And we already sent over 600 trillion yuan in this system. This whole system of the National Grain Electronic Trading platform have organized many bidding activities, and as an important carrier, on the one hand, we play macro regulation and also the major channel for the grain trading, and also the resource advantage, platform advantage, and expand our scope of service and service pandemic prevention and control, and service the connection of seller and buyer, and also serve the farmers and the buyer and the selling enterprises of the grain and serve the rural revitalization and industrial poverty alleviation, and also the social and economic stability development. Now, first, let's look at how we served macroeconomic regulation. Since 2016 until now, our national platform, bidding platform, have held over 20,000 such biddings, and the turnover has been more than 600 million tons of the foodstuff and oil. It's just like the total amount of food production 1 year in China, and the total turnover price was 1.2 trillion RMB. So we played the role of destocking and also connection of the seller and buyer, and also the improvement of institutional arrangement and better made the macro control policies. And this picture shows the transaction situation since 2016. From the picture, you can see in 2018, we have transacted about 120 million. And in 2016, we had 150 million ton. And in a certain day, we achieved about 4.1 million of the maize. And now in China's cargo railway train, there are 30 carriages, and each carriage can host 60 tons of maize, and for one train can host 1,800 tons, and for 1 day we need 2,200 trains to host all of these grains we have transacted in 1 day. And second, we served the pandemic prevention and control. In February 2020, due to the pandemic, the breeding companies of the Hunan and Hubei province had a shortage in the feedstock. A lot of chicken and duck and goose faced starvation. At the same time, the industrial ethanol producing company also faced a shortage in their raw material. So relevant authorities through this trading platform have organized a timely trading fair, and we targetedly sold the wheat and rice at about 3.67 million tons, and maize at about 2.96 million tons. We effectively addressed the shortage of the raw materials. Thus, we guaranteed the areas under lockdown can have enough supply. And third, stabilize grain supply and manage markets. Let's give you 2 cases. One is that from April to October in 2007, the CBOT price of the wheat closing price increased to over 400 cents. And China's wheat price also rose. So Chinese government make corresponding measures. Through this bidding platform, we increased the stock into the market. Each week was 1 million ton, and then we changed into 2 million, and then 4 million tons was sent to the market. So we had a linkage process in the whole provinces and across the country. Thus, there is a greater supply. There is a different balance between supply and demand. And domestic price of the wheat has fallen down. And finally, it went back to the steady price range. And second, at the beginning of 2002, due to some stocking of some grain producers, the price of the wheat increased a lot. And this caused the market price of wheat increased a lot. Relevant authorities through this trading platform have regulated the number of transaction frequency and also the qualification of the sellers and buyers, and thus we sent the information of abundance supply and stock. Thus, within only 2 weeks, we stabilized the wheat pricing, and we helped with the government's regulation of stability and the recover of the production and work. And fourth, connect production sales. In January 2020, in Changchun of Jilin Province, we held the National Public Welfare Feed Grain Trade Fair, and on this platform, we sold about 20.09 million tons of grain, with a turnover of 8.42 million tons. The transportation to the south was about 4.02 million. So that's the northern grain was transported to the south of China. Thus, we relieved the circulation pressure in the whole market. And fifth, we facilitated the rural revitalization and poverty alleviation. By utilizing this trading platform, leveraging the resources and abundant members of the platform, we actively supported poverty-stricken area to achieve better price and sales for their quality grains. And special trade fairs have been successfully held for crops such as high-quality wheat from Funan, Anhui, and goji berries from Ningxia, with a turnover of more than 200,000 tons of wheat and 95 tons of goji berry in Ningxia. And going forward, this system will continuously expand the trading scope and scale to integrate and attract advantageous resources to extend our functions of the platform to fully enhance the platform's role in serving macroeconomic control and promoting the market circulation. While we leveraging the role of grain macroeconomic control, we will also promote the connection of buyer and seller, enhance the circulation efficiency, serve the management of grain, and serve the smallholder farmers and also grain companies. And this National Trading Center, National Grain Trade Center, is willing to provide the help that we can to Ghana. On the one hand, we can provide technical support. On the other, we can provide personnel training and business training and other assistance. In this beautiful spring, we are witnessing new things every day. So it's high time we work even harder to build better communications between China and Ghana. Let's work together to strengthen the communication. Thank you for your listening. That's all.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ms. Wang Xin, for your great presentation. Indeed, from your presentation, we have a lot to learn from you as Ghana. Just as a summary, we have seen the transition from conventional auction to building a national platform. And this has taken you over 10 years to be able to build, such a system. You have shared with us the main challenges, especially the multiple intermediaries, high trading costs, information asymmetry, and low circulation efficiency. And indeed, these are some of the challenges that smallholder farmers here are facing in Ghana. It is also interesting to learn about the setup of key institutions, specialized institutions in China to support grain e-trade, but also building functional systems, especially looking at infrastructure and logistics. And thanks for sharing with us the achievements that you have made through, a past couple of years. And of course, finally, the willingness to support Ghana on building e-trading, platforms through your technical support. I hope agencies like GCX and NAFCO can be able to follow up after this webinar to see the kind of technical support that they may require from China. Having had these two great presentations, we have had a few participants sharing with us some questions that we have captured through the chat box. I will raise some of them for the key presenters to respond to them. And then if we have any other, we can always, highlight them. We only have 19 minutes to the end, so we shall utilize the 10 minutes to be able to answer some of these questions. So the first set of questions, I think, goes to Professor Yao. We have captured 3 of them. How do you think we could promote better access to credit among smallholder farmers? Would it be through the development bank or through commercial lending? That's one question. I'll read the rest and then you'll be able to answer them once. The other one is from Barbara. While we are discussing commodities, do you envision that this could work with seed distribution as well? Barbara is asking about seed distribution. And then finally, 3, is there a mechanism for safeguarding the production or yield once the credit is given? I think this is about insurance. Over to you, Professor Yao, to answer.
Okay, so the first question is, should we have agricultural banks, commercial banks, when it comes to provision of credit? And the answer is, I believe there should be an entire ecosystem of different types of banks. Ghana actually has quite a variety of different banks. Some of them are the very, very small rural banks. They're in the communities. It's easy for the farmers to access those banks. So that's a good thing. But they're very small, okay? The amount of money they have, those kind of banks are just usually very, very small. And so you need to involve the bigger banks. Ghana has created some development banks with fairly large amounts of money, at least Ghana standards. The issue is that many times those banks do not go to the poorest of the poor. Part of it is because they don't know how, they don't know who to give it to. One of the interesting things in Ghana, at least I find interesting, is when you look at the traders, these are usually women. They are able to locate which farmer is a good credit risk, okay? So they're channeling money to the different farmers and giving them credit at very high interest rates. And yet our very large institutions, the big banks, are not able to do the same thing. So it's one of those things that the smaller traders are able to monitor in a way in which bigger banks cannot. So I think the direct answer to the question is we need a whole ecosystem of different financial institutions, each one providing credit to their own niches. And the second thing I'd like to say is that big banks need to learn how to give money to smallholder farmers. It's not easy. We've gone in the field. We have some tricks and some suggestions and ideas on how to use it, okay, or how to do that. So that's the first question. Second question about seeds, yes. What we are doing in the field are just markets, okay? And so we are, of course, concentrating on markets for maize and soya and rice, but nothing prevents us from doing seeds. We've actually just, for kicks, if you will, or just for experimentation, we have traded some non-nationally traded goods like plantains, like cassava. These are things which are not in homogeneous units. And so it's a little bit difficult to put in a commodity exchange. A commodity exchange needs to have standardized units so they can have large trades. We've been able to do it even with commodities which are non-standard. So if we can do that, definitely you can do something having to do with seeds. And then finally, the question on safeguarding yields is a very, very important one. And I'm glad, I think, Barbara, you raised it. Why is it important? When you're giving out credit, if you don't watch the yields that the farmers are getting, then you've given credit, the farmer, goes through the farming process and simply doesn't have the crops or the grain to pay you back, okay? So if you care about your money, you need to be watching this farmer and making sure that the farmer is using the credit for the right thing. Otherwise, at the end of the season, you just won't get your money. And as they say, you can't squeeze water out of stone. If they don't have it, they don't have it. What we do in our interventions is I have staff people who actually visit the farm every few weeks to check up on the farmers. One great thing that Ghana has, and I think is underappreciated, so the deputy minister is, I think, for the representative from MOFA is on the call here. Our extension agents are very good, okay? Ghana has a system where every district has a district director of agriculture, partly reporting to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, partly reporting to the district assembly, okay? And these are in the districts. And underneath them are a whole group of AEs, agricultural extension officers or assistants, okay, and agents, sorry. And they all are in the field, they know the science, they've been trained fairly well. And so we, in our rural communities, have been using these AEAs to monitor the farmers, okay? And so again, Barbara, your question is great. The answer is yes, you should monitor them. And the way we monitor them is we have our own field people go there, and we also work with the ministry agricultural extension agents. So those are the answers to the 3 questions you gave me, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Yenyato, for the responses. I hope they have been useful to the questions of the participants that asked those questions. So we have also 3 questions for Ms. Wang from her presentation. What are the 3 top priorities for building an effective and efficient grain electronic trading system? So from your perspective, what do you think are the top 3 priorities for building an effective and efficient grain electronic system? Then 2, what policies and strategies have been put in place in China in order to establish a successful grain e-trade platform? And finally, does the e-trading platform in China connect smallholder farmers or cooperatives directly or otherwise? Over to you, Ms. Wang. You can start with any of the questions.
So first question, how to build an efficient trading platform? The first one, I think, is we have practical demands. As the time goes on, as technology grows, with the auction model cannot meet demands. It involves many multiple links, and asymmetric information, has low circulation efficiency, so it cannot meet the demands of the times. So the trading methods must be updated. And the second, we have technological support. And we have a high reliance on internet technologies. As the internet plus technology grows, we want to have this technological support for the e-trading platform. Then third, we have governmental guidance. Relevant authorities have been exploring how to make sure that in the e-commerce trading platform, we can integrate a new circulation system combined with the e-trading platform and to meet the national demands and to improve its functions and guide enterprises to enter the market and to build a fair, competitive, standardized, and orderly, unified grain trading market in China. And the second question, and how to connect with the cooperatives. Yes, the national trading platform connects with the farmers and cooperatives. The connection method is for the smallholders and cooperatives, they can register, become a member at the national grain trading platform and participate in the bidding process. And also based on the platform, they can make supplies of the grains. And for China's reserve of grains company has also to farmers and cooperatives had secured supplies from farmers and cooperatives, and we already have mature technologies for that. In December 12, 2016, the National Grain Trading Platform had a dedicated trading activity for farmers in Heilongjiang province. And that day, We had a 35,000 tons of maize traded, and the farmers had realized the products sold at a premium price.
Thank you. Is that all? Have you completed the answering of the questions? Yeah, I guess Ms. Wang, you have finished answering the questions. Thank you for the responses you have provided. We have received also great comments in the chat box, and indeed all this contributes to our webinar. So we just have 8 minutes to complete our webinar today. And at this stage, we'll have some key closing remarks again. The first one is from Dr. Q Sins, the representative and country director, World Food Program, China. Over to you, Dr. Q Sins. You are welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Dear colleagues and ladies and gentlemen, empowered and resilient and smallholder farmers hold the key to a world free from hunger. Helping raising their incomes and improve their livelihood is vital for building sustainable food systems, advancing food security and achieving zero hunger. Over 10 years of successfully connecting smallholders with the market, WFP has demonstrated that when farmers have an assured market for their crops, they can forge stronger livelihoods and become key players in local food systems. South-South cooperation provides exchange and sharing opportunities of innovative and effective solutions between developing countries to strengthen smallholders to access the market. Smallholder value chain development is one of the prioritized areas of WFP Center of Excellence for Rural Transformation. WFP and through the field pilots in Ghana, in collaboration with our partners, where we are dedicated to share China's experience and practice, an innovative and digitalized approaches to connect smallholders and market. We expect that the series of capacity building activities could help more smallholders and contribute to the smallholder value chain development in Ghana. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for the significant support to Ghana's SST. WFP China COE will continue to join hands with the WFP Ghana Country Office and collaborate with our partners to support capacity building and value chain development for smallholders towards our common sustainable development. And finally, I wish you all a good health and enjoyable life. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Q, for your closing remarks. Indeed, we appreciate your support through your country office, through the South-South Triangular Cooperation. We look forward to continue cooperating with your office to support this initiative. The second closing remark is from Ms. Dongmoli, Director, Department of International Cooperation, Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs. Welcome, Ms. Dongmoli.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you very much for inviting me to join today's workshop on digitalized smallholder market access. As an important part of WFP Mara South SSTC field pilot in Ghana, This workshop shared China's experience on green e-trading platform and digitalized applications. We hope it could strengthen the institutional capacity building and contribute to the improvement of smallholder market access in Ghana. We trust other project activities also could play a role in Ghana's agricultural development and rural transformation. Since 2019, the field pilot has been one of the critical South-South and triangular cooperation modalities between MARA and WFP. Through policy dialogue, workshop, webinar, and study tour, as well as the expert deployment before the COVID and May in future, SSTC field pilots in 6 developing countries with different priorities are conducted by WFP to provide support for smallholder farmers' capacity building and agricultural value chain development. We do appreciate the efforts made by WFP colleagues and partners on the implementation of field pilots, which make the important progress on our common SSTC agenda. The South-South and the triangular cooperation is a significant joint approach against global hunger, malnutrition, and poverty. The Chinese government sets a high value on South-South cooperation and will continue to provide a strong support for South-South cooperation in the area of agriculture. In collaboration with international organizations such as WFP, we would like to further share and exchange China's knowledge, technology, and experience with other developing countries to make more contribution to their development. We expect more and more smallholder farmers could benefit from South-South and triangular cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Dongmoli, for your closing remark. Indeed, we appreciate the support from Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs to the Ghana pilot program. Indeed, we are getting a lot of benefits from this program. And finally, we'll listen from Mr. Liu Dangeng, the Chief of the South-South Cooperation World Food Program Headquarters. Over to you, Mr. Liu Dangeng.
Yeah, good morning and good afternoon and good evening to all the colleagues and the participants and also the panelists. Thank you for this very insightful and productive discussion. This is the second time attending the webinar organized by WP Center of Excellency and WP Country Office in Ghana. A truly pleasure for me to see this exchange of South-South cooperation is growing in the country. Some of you have maybe aware that last week, the 2022 Global Report on Food Prices was published. The report highlights the remarkably high severity and numbers of people in crisis or worse or equivalent in 53 countries and territories, driven by persistent conflict, pre-existing and COVID-19 related economic shocks, and of course the climate change and weather extremes. The number identified in the 2022 edition is the highest in the report's 6-year existence. To address those crises, we cannot continue business as usual. We need innovative solutions and new technology. Today's subject, the topic, digitalization, is really one of those options. From the perspective of South-South collaboration in WP headquarters, we actually, as a broker and partnership enabler, we are extremely happy to promote and also expand the peer learning and knowledge exchange among the Global South countries. Finally, let's hope we will continue this kind of dialogue. And we really want to say also a last word to give also a big applause with the technical support and also the financial support from the Chinese Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs. But also thanks for the excellent organization from the organizers, again, WP Ghana Country Office, and also WP China Center of Excellency, and also the participant, but also the presentation from the panelists. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Liu Dangeng, for your closing remarks. Indeed, we appreciate your support under this SSTC arrangement, and we look forward to more activities regarding this activity. Just as we come to the end, just to mention, this is one of the series of activities. We have had previously a webinar last year. This year we have had another webinar. We have another 2 or 3 activities to be able to close the pilot project. We will have again training activities, engagements with stakeholders in cooperation with the Ghana Commodity Exchange and also NAFCO, the National Food Buffer Stock Company. And again, this will be physical events that will be carried out in Accra and also the different regions of the country. Indeed, these are some of the activities that are within the pilot project, and we look forward to another project moving forward. Having said that, I would like to request the panelists to open their cameras for a group photo as we close our event. Kindly, all the panelists, you can open your cameras for a group photo for our record. All the panelists, kindly open your cameras as we close our event for a group photo. Thank you very much, and I would like to thank the team from the WFP Ghana Country Office who has supported, in coordinating and making sure this event takes place. Mickey, Albert, Clemens, thanks for your support in organizing this webinar. It has been really insightful, and we look forward to more webinars moving forward. So thank you very much, and I hope everyone has benefited from this webinar, and we look forward to, bilaterally getting in touch with each of the presenters to be able to understand much more. Thank you very much. And
thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Thank you.